Hello? Hello? Anybody here? Okay, I'm gonna go over my league start plans today. I'm gonna talk about two builds today. I think they're both kind of really good. Hopefully, like, none of them get nerfed. Like, there's a lot of synergies in my build that I want to talk about today in both builds. I think I made a build for like the everyday Path of Exile player, and then I made a build for me. And I don't mind failing because my build's too complicated. But I want to try something that I feel like I want to play at league start. So I'll explain both later, but there's like a lot of synergies. Like it's pretty complicated. Let's go over.
And the Grammy Award for Best Music goes to Shao Rupert Meow.
Let's go over one of the builds that I feel like will be good for the upcoming league. From what I know in the game so far, flat is really hard to come by. What's harder to come by from flat is physical flat, right? And I feel like a lot of grenade skills are really good in the game, at least from the numbers wise, right? So you have like cluster grenade, which I don't think you're gonna get until like way later. I don't know what level you get this at, but I'm gonna assume it's gonna be in like the 40s or the 50s. It's gonna be like way later. It's like an endgame skill. Before that, you have like explosive grenade for a lot of your leveling, which is probably gonna be your bread and butter for damage, right? And you're gonna be like, oh, why is Fizz good? I have not seen a single source of elemental attack leech in the game. The only thing that I've seen is physical attack leech. And that makes Fizz extremely good because Fizz is now tied directly to your recovery, right? Okay, so like the number one thing is how we're gonna get through the campaign with Mercenary, right? Can we all agree that if you understand and you read cluster or grenade skills, this is probably gonna be your main damaging skill throughout the campaign? Do we agree on that, chat? Anybody who studied Mercenary? Because you're not gonna have this for a while.
Ooh, you're so popular.
And this doesn't really do that much damage. And I don't know what all this other stuff does, like explosive shot, but it doesn't look like any of these things really do that much damage. And if you're gonna play cluster grenades, you wanna spec into grenades, right? So you wanna like start playing them early, and you don't wanna like go into other things because you wanna spec into like AoE damage and stuff like this is not AoE, right? So you wanna be going into like cooldowns for grenades. So I think grenades and all the other shots have like different stats, and that's what you kind of need to focus on. Really? This is what we're doing? The one thing in Path of Exile that a lot of players do is they'll use skills, they'll mix skills that do not have scaling with the other skills they use. Let's say if you're playing grenades and you spec into a bunch of AoE nodes, right? And you spec into a bunch of CDR nodes, that's not gonna affect this, right? You have nothing here to affect any of that damage. So you're gonna have like 100% increased damage on grenades, and then you're gonna have, I don't know, the 30% increased damage that you have on projectiles that actually affect this, and now you're doing a lot less damage with this than you would be doing with this. The thing is, how do we start doing damage with this skill and start annihilating bosses with this skill? Right? And I found something really good while I was talking to Ventura about minions for grenades. And it is the whole basis of the build at the start, fucking Bone Storm. Because minions are so overpowered and they gave minions such great skills, it is actually the best skill for grenades. Think about it. While your grenades are cooling down, you're channeling Bone Storm. Okay, keep in mind, Bone Storm has channeling, projectile, physical, AoE. Grenades, AoE, projectile, duration. AoE, projectile, duration. You see the matchup of the tags that you can scale together? So if anytime you scale projectile damage, this is a spell. That is an attack. But you are still scaling projectile, and you're still scaling AoE damage. Okay, so you're gonna be like, why Bone Storm? Well, Bone Storm deals 16 to 25 damage at level 14. All right, that's scalable by these mods every single time you channel. It has a cast time of 0.7 seconds. With faster casting, you're pretty much going like closer to half a second per stack. So let's say you want to shoot 3 explosive grenades to do damage, right? An explosive grenade is 3-second cooldown. So let's say you get this number down to about like 2 seconds with grenade CDR and CDR on tree at the start, right? And you're every 6 seconds you're shooting 3 grenades. Well, every 6 sec, you can be proccing 12 stack of Bone Storm because it's twice a second, right? And as long as I understand the skill from what I've seen in videos, there is no maximum stack of Bone Storm you can stack. It just lasts a duration. So what you want to do is you want to channel Bone Storm for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds, release it, and then dump all your cluster grenade into the thing. And you're going to be like, why is that good? Debuffed enemies take 16 to 25 additional physical damage from attacks. That means for every Bone Storm you channel, every attack that you hit with it is going to take 16 to 25 additional damage. They're not calculating that you're channeling multiple. It's just telling you that the next hit that you do will deal that much damage. I'm pretty sure every grenade that's going to hit it is going to get a damage buff of 16 to 25 physical damage. Like every single one. This is your crossbow. 10 to 15. Your level 8 crossbow is 17 to 25. This is like double the damage of your like crossbow that you'll have at this time. This is Bone Storm. You channel your Bone Storm, allowed, and then grenade, 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 right? That's all you do. And then you're just gonna like destroy shit. Look, it's channeling the Bone Storm, and then your minions are just fucking like hitting it, right? For the additional damage. That's all it is. Except you're gonna be channeling the Bone Storm, and then you're just gonna be grenading. Your hit, minions hit, it doesn't matter. As long as that boss is getting hit, it's removing a stack. You can generate like 9 Bone Storm stacks like really, really quickly, right? You can see this guy generates 11 like without even trying. Like, look at this. Like he's channeling 1, 2, 3. He adds, that's 3 seconds, less than 3 seconds, and he has 11 stacks already. Like it channels pretty decently fast, right? So like that's enough for all your grenades already. And the rest of the time you could just be running around like a moron. Here's the good part. It also works later with Cluster Grenade, which is even more broken because while you're working with the cooldown of Cluster Grenade, you can be spamming Bone Storm while shooting your Explosive Grenade and then using it with Cluster Grenade. Guys, imagine this minion skill at max level, how much flat fizz you're gonna get. When at level 14, you get as much flat fizz as your fucking crossbow. This is at least 50 to 70% more damage at least start, dude. This combination. Plus the skill also does damage. I don't know what the tree is exactly gonna look like, but I'm pretty sure Bone Storm is gonna deal damage, and Bone Storm has insane supports. Like, because you don't care about the AoE because you're using it on bosses, like, it has like Conk, it has Brutality, it has like a bunch of supports for damage. I don't know what any of these nodes are, like what is like projectile damage, if you get like straight projectile damage, area damage, or if they're just area damage for attacks, or like whatever. But if you can scale both together, I think it's kind of good. Okay, I made a thing of like what we wanted to do, and basically you want to go Cluster Grenade, or at the start, you're probably not going to have Cluster Grenade. You're going to be like Explosive Grenade, and you're going to have these on like Explosive Grenade, right? It's pretty much going to be like reduced cooldown and like multiple projectiles and whatever like supports that you want. And then Bone Storm, faster casting, inspiration. The Splinter is to reduce armor. And then you have Brutality and like mobility for whatever, or multiple projectiles for, or I guess this would be volley, right? Like there would be volley on one and multiple projectiles on the other one. What do you mean? And then like, then you have your Explosive Grenade for even like other things, then Flash Grenade. And then this is like what I was planning to do with the build. And then it would just be Fizz Crossbow, Res, Leech on Gear. You want to scale cooldown reduction, increase damage, projectile area, generic. You want area of effect, obviously, because area of effect I think is very going to be good for your clear and whatever, but this is like later. And then after that, it's just leech, stun, res, defense, whatever you can find on your tree that's like in that area, right? I think 6 skills shit is so bait. Have fun not playing with fucking 6 skills in the fucking game. I think it's very good. I think Fizz is really, really hard to get in the game, and getting more Fizz means more leech, more Fizz leech, more mana leech, more recovery, and just straight up just more damage. Anyways, I think it's gonna be big damage. I think as soon as you Bone Storm and you're gonna be like dum dum dum, and you just chunk them with like, you fire 3 grenades on the first boss you do with the combo, I think the boss is gonna go to like 40, like it's gonna take 40% damage, and you're gonna be like, lol, PoE too hard. That's exactly what you're gonna say, because it's literally gonna like double the damage of your grenades, and it's gonna like pop off, right? It's gonna pop off. The other thing is like I know you can generate heat to give flat to your grenades, but I think Bone Storm does a lot more damage. Heat you can't use the way you want to use with those grenades because like your heat dissipates, right? So when you build up heat, you have to fire the grenade and you have to build up the heat again and then fire the grenade, right? So this is grenade cooldown +1. This is kind of like not that great at the start. This is really, really good, right? Grenades fire an additional projectile, and it looks like it's it looks like it's just right here. So like as a mercenary, you want to just be like, boom, like straight down to like this node. I think this is the first node that you take no matter what. Yeah, and like this is obviously like really, really good, right? I'm pretty sure there's cooldown reduction here too. So yeah. Anyways, grenades probably good. Probably good. I would say that's like probably in my eyes like the safest bet. I think once you get cluster grenade, your clear will be pretty okay. But before then, I don't know, man. That's the one thing I'm a little worried about with playing the mercenary build is like, will the clear be good enough or the point where I don't want to pull out my hair? Well, I already planned out my Acolyte Achilles build anyway, so maybe I just go over it right now. I hope this doesn't get nerfed because I think it's pretty good. Don't snitch. None of you guys snitch, please. None of you guys snitch, please. Anyways, there's a seal gem called Orb of Storms. Orb of Storms creates an electricity that fires chain lightning and bolts at nearby enemies. The base damage on Orb of Storms is really low, but it chains 3 times. And this is what we're doing. Fires a bolt every 3 seconds or when you use a lightning skill near the orb. And you're like, well, if you're gonna use a lightning skill near the orb to proc this, to keep carrying it, because this is technically this times 14, right? Making it like really, really high in terms of like damage, actually, because no skill in the game actually gives you 15 times 14 at level fucking 14, I'm pretty sure. Right. Well, guys, first we're gonna Orb of Storms, limit support, making the 2 Orb of Storms, giving me 28 volts, right? Then we're gonna go Spell Echo support. When I cast Orb of Storms, 2 of them will appear because it's an AoE skill. It should support it. It doesn't say it needs to be AoE damaging skill. It just said it needs to be AoE skill. I cast Orb of Storms, Spell Echo, 2 of them come out. And then we use Tempest Flurry. I know it doesn't have a lightning tag in PoE but it should be a lightning skill. It converts 60% to lightning, and it has a powerful shocking blow. Yeah, read limit support, guys. Read limit support. It should. I'm hoping it does. If it doesn't, then I'm gonna have to use a different skill, and that's fine. I'm a monk. I'm a monk. I use quarterstaff. Okay. So what that does is I'm gonna have a 4-meter strike range. Remember Frostblade to Catabasis? Well, Frostblade to Catabasis is back in Tempest Flurry form. It's a melee skill that hits half a screen away. Just like my Orb of Storms. +4 to melee strike range is +4 meters to melee strike range. Okay, so Tempest Flurry should be a lightning skill. I'm hoping it is. If it's not, then we're gonna have to use one of the other lightning attacks, which is a little bit worse because this one has really fast attack speed because it has 1.4 base, where I could just go boom, 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 and proc my double Orb of Storms, right? With enough attack speed on your monk, you should be able to generate over 3 attacks a second, which means you will be able to use every single bolt from your Orb of Storms within the 5-second time that you have when you use limit support. Okay. Because I am now Chiyula Monk, and I only use my mana once every 5 seconds because that's my only fucking spell that I have in my whole entire build, right? And I'm not blowing my mana. I now can use Mom with my 5,000 mana. And on top of that, since this skill only does 60% Fizz as extra to lightning damage, I still have Fizz to leech instant mana, which also instantly leeches ES, making me huge. On top of that, my Orb of Storms will clear the whole entire screen because it chains. On top of that, because I'm using a quarterstaff when I'm not using to have to feel focused on single target damage, I have Monk Leap Slam to move across the map. So Leap Slam, Orb of Storms, attack once, boom. You don't have to hit with the quarterstaff skill to proc the Orb of Storms. You only have to hit to leech. And basically you can play Archmage without any of the drawbacks of playing Archmage and use the mana for exactly what you want to do. That's my league starter. This sounds like it'll get nerfed. Welcome to every other build I've ever made. I don't think I need to use Bell, but I'm pretty sure you can use that too. I don't know. Most of my damage is gonna be spell damage anyways. This is kind of like what I'm settled on. I'm looking at an endgame build that only uses about 500 mana every 5 seconds, and we're spamming this like 9 mana cost spell with like, I'm just doing that with my little monk, and I'm just doing all of that damage. What's really cool is when we get to like the end game bosses, I think we can actually use a real staff and just weapon swap, put the Orb of Storms on the weapon swap. So like when we cast the Orb of Storms, it'll swap to like a big weapon with like a +5 weapon. So I'm pretty sure that's my plan for the game. I'm not really worried about the single target. I have like plenty of ways to get single target, right? But I'm worried about like all of this stuff put together. Does this sound like a good build, chat? It sounds like a good build, right? Oh, I forgot a part of my build. Since we are monk, guys, since we are monk, I forgot. We have on bosses, da 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 da. We're gonna use Hand of Chula. We're gonna hit the boss. It's gonna put Enfeeble, and it's gonna put Temp Chains with 23% increased effect with 25% more effect, 50% low with 25% less damage taken. And because I already thought all this out, anybody have the passive tree? Anybody have the passive tree link? I think it's here. Oh, it's right here. Da 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 da! Increased lightning damage for intelligence? Whispers of Doom, boys. Oh yeah. So we're gonna hit them with the Chila. They're gonna be slow as fuck. They're gonna do no damage. We're just gonna leech all our life back. We're gonna get tons of damage with this because we're stacking in for mana. We're gonna get tons of freaking damage for spell damage for whatever, like per maximum mana. And we don't have to pay the cost of it because we're using attacks to proc Orb of Storms and not a spell. And we can take nodes like this where it says 18% maximum mana, 10% increased mana cost. We don't really give a shit because our attacks cost almost nothing. We won the game. We beat the game. All right, anyways, that is going to be my league starter, I think. Unless if I come up with something better in the next few days. We're probably gonna have to start like in the monk area, and we're probably gonna have to like go down, right? Like this is attack and cast speed down here to take like some quarterstaff nodes in the beginning and try to maybe like take the power charge node so we can actually do enough damage before we can make it to mom. And then once we have enough points to come over here and take all of this increased damage for Archmage and get enough mana stuff, then we like respec those points and come over here. So it's a little complicated to start, I think. But I won't need that node until I get the instant mana leech. So from Acolyte of Chula, and I don't think with all the mana nodes, it's gonna be like a big like quarterstaff to mana respec at a certain point. But I think mana respecs or respecs at level 40 will be cheap and we'll be fine. If not, then I'm just gonna break my build. Mom is here. But I have to travel this way too, because all the mana, like this is like, I need to come here, right? This is the mana node. I need to eventually come up here. So like traveling through this area is like where I want to be. And I'm eventually going to take the ES nodes too. I'm thinking about coming up here and splitting off right here. Like coming here after this area and then taking all the like the mana nodes that I need from this side, and then coming straight up and then going this and then splitting off over here to take like all the like lightning damage nodes and the freaking things and the spell damage per nodes. That's my plan. I'm thinking it's a level 45 respec. That's what I think it is. So I'm gonna have to play like a staff attack build until I come 45. Anyways, those are my plans for my 2 builds that I'm thinking about starting in Path of Exile 2. I think both builds have good mechanics that do really, really good damage, and one is a lot more complicated than the other. Anyways, any other good PoE 2 information that's coming out? Guys, I'm not gonna freaking watch Quantric die with Seismic Trap for the 150th time. All right, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Love you guys. Mwah. Bye. I'm not naming the channel points to catnip. You're out of your mind.